I'm crying. My heart is full of emotions.
Sad air horns.
Beep Boop 8. Oh my goodness. How far we have come, Ornella.
So wild, truly.
Welcome to Beep Boop, y'all. Beep Boop, episode 8, The Final Frontier. The final episode in this series for a little bit. How are you doing, Ornella? How are you feeling coming into this Beep Boop 8 today?
Well, it's a very emotional time for everyone.
Of course.
But especially for Franklin. If you have any leads on what his next gig might be as his agent, let me know, because I think he just really needs to be getting out there. So,
I mean, truly, today, if you've checked out our title of today's ep, we're going to be visualizing, analyzing, collabing on data. And initially, I was going to use a data set today of Frank's delicatessen, Frank's salamis and meats.
Frank's Salami Incorporated.
But then I realized I would have to create all of the data set myself, and instead I went with something. I teased about it on Twitter, so I guess I'll say it. We're using squirrel census data, y'all, so stay tuned for that data visualization. But welcome to Beep Boop, y'all. Ooh, good morning. Hello to the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from, why you're joining us.
Whether this is your first Beep Boop or your 8th.
Oh my goodness. Has anybody in the chat been to all 8 or watched all 8 Beep Boops other than us?
I would bet Mike.
Sarah's here.
Sarah probably has seen most of them.
Welcome to the show, Sarah. Oh yes, greetings from Sarah's shed in Washington. We're thrilled to be joined from the shed. Hello everyone, welcome to Beep Boop 8. If this is your first Beep Boop ever, Mike, do you get a badge for going to all of them? I think so. I think we can make that happen. You also created our first fan art for the show.
Yeah, so. I mean, I feel like we owe you something.
We do. I want to do, and I need to follow up with Mike on this. I'm writing it down on a post-it right now. Mike made an amazing Jurassic Park bot that we will definitely be doing a stream about soon. Oh, we've got a first time watching from Sydney, from down under.
Hello.
Hello, Kristen Johnson. Welcome to Beep Boop, your first Beep Boop. Well, don't worry. All of the previous episodes are available at aka.ms/Beep Boop replay. You can go back and watch them. Oh, Beep Boop learn badges. That's a good idea, Sarah. We'll get back to you on that. Welcome to the show, y'all. If you don't know what Beep Boop is, well, we're not. What is your elevator pitch for Beep Boop? How do you describe the beeps and the boops to the people?
So, oh my God. For sure, the badge will have a Frank silhouette on it.
Absolutely.
Beep Boop is our cozy learning environment for all things AI, ML, Power Platform, Franklin the dog. Those are kind of the common themes running through all of our episodes. And we're here to have fun. We're here to learn something new. This season, this month on Beep Boop, we've been working with the Power Platform, which is really fun. And we're going to keep going on that today, right?
Yes, we are. So season 1 was all about AI/ML. We worked with the lovely Dr. G's Learn module, always coming up with great ideas. Franklin silhouetted Learn badges, Space Jam 2 Learn modules. You can go back and watch a lot of data science. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about basketball, which actually a little bit of a teaser here. We are going to cover some basketball in this module. This is sort of our learn along cozy show. And today is no exception, because for this final episode, we're going to save a bunch of time at the end to reflect on all that we've learned.
We want to hear what your favorite moments have been, your favorite modules, what you learned. We're gonna have some nice chats at the end.
Absolutely. Before we get into that, how was your week, Ornella? It's been a whole week since we last beeped and booped.
It's been good. Really no complaints. Trying to come up with what we're going to do next, which is always an exciting adventure.
We did hang out with some of our MSAs last week, which was really fun. We had a
We
little office
did.
hours with our
Yeah.
MSAs.
If you're an
Um,
MSA in the chat, let us know. Shout out to y'all.
yes. Ooh, we've got a regular from Denizli, Turkey.
Welcome.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Oh my gosh, such an eclectic group joining us here today. I, of course, am joining from the Bay Area over in Oakland with my little BB Yoda here. Ornella's across the pond over on the other side of the Bay Area. And yeah, this is sort of just our space where we very, and again, like if y'all have any questions, comments, anything as we go through these things, let us know. A first-time listener from Oakland, welcome. Oh my goodness, the real Eric Arn, welcome. We're probably breathing in the same air right now. But today we are going to talk about Power BI. Have you played with Power BI before, Ornella? Any
A
experience
little
with
bit.
this?
A little bit, yeah.
So just so everyone has a little idea of where all of these come from. So we've been going through all the different modules, or not all of them, but a handful of select picked modules from the Power Platform Fundamentals certification course that is recommended. It's a lovely set of Learn modules that are all about Power BI. Oh my gosh, what else did this season we did chatbots. We did
So Power Virtual Agents,
yes.
Power BI, and then what was the other one we did?
I'm gonna go back in the time machine, figure out. It feels like it was just yesterday and yet many years ago. But it's been low code, no code. I think it was just an overview of
It was an intro.
Power.
Yes, it was an
Yes.
intro.
We skipped 1 week this week or this month. But today's really fun because I've used Power BI internally here at Microsoft, but I've never put together my own dashboard. And
Ooh.
it was very fun, y'all. It was very hard to pick what data I was going to use.
Well, I think you
to
made a
show.
good choice. So
I think I did too. Ooh, Sarah says, "Boot boot certs. I'm working through AI 102 cert materials right now." Ooh,
me too, Sarah. But you already know that.
Yeah, I'm super excited to do what is it, PL 900, and I'm this is baby's first cert. So I've selfishly kind of chosen some modules that I would have had to have gone through anyway. But that's the idea with this show is we want to walk through these with you and kind of do like a learn along, and you can learn with us. But you haven't built a Power BI dashboard before, it sounds like, right, Ornella?
I think I have, but it was a long time ago. So I need a good refresher.
Sweet.
And
Well,
I want some fun data, you know? I don't need any of this work data. I want the good stuff.
lucky for you. So this module today that we're going to be going through, and we'll start in a minute or two here, is very wordy. It's just going to kind of explain to us all the different components and pieces of Power BI, but it's got a really nifty, and which reminds me, I need to make sure that I am sharing my sound when I share this. It's got a really nifty video that shows an example of it in action, but you're going to want to stick around for the end of the stream, y'all, or if you're watching it, when you're watching on 2x speed later, skip to the end to check out so I literally Googled fun data sets. I was like, what would be fun? Because my first thought, of course, was, UFO data, because that's like my favorite example that I've seen of data visualized is how many UFO sightings are on a US heat map. But then I thought, you know what? That's been done. I want to try something new. So I literally found this article that was like, here's the top 8 fun data sets to go through during quarantine. And it included some lovely things such as Pokemon data. It included some lovely things such as, oh my goodness, some really funny ones in there. But I settled on squirrel census data, which I found out that Central Park in New York does a census every year of squirrel behaviors and activities. And
so how do they tell the squirrels apart?
great question that we will get into once I visualize the data.
Okay.
We'll go through the module first. This little teaser, a little spoiler for the end there.
Are they tagging them like sharks? Like what's
This
going
has opened up Pandora's box for me of
on?
how
Oh man. Okay.
like,
I'll
these squirrels.
stop being impatient.
But before we get into our beautiful squirrel data, I figure we'll just kind of like go through this little module real quick. How do squirrels even hold a pen? Great question. Yeah, I learned a lot about how this data was collected because I had very similar questions. And, I was talking to Dion before the stream. I was like, how do they know they didn't count the same squirrel twice? How do they know? Did they tag them? Got some answers, not all of them, but definitely stay tuned to the very end to watch those. Someone is really good friends with the squirrels and knows them all by name clearly. Yeah, I think that's
Honestly, wouldn't be surprised.
yeah. If you want to follow along, we are going to be doing this module, which I'm going to drop in the chat here. It'll be aka.ms/beepbooplinks8. And this is literally the module we're walking through. And y'all, seriously, if you are interested in getting a certification, we've gone through like half of them for the Power Platform Fundamentals course. So like, it's not cheating. It's not looking at someone's homework if you're all doing it collaboratively and together. That's what I say. Anything else we should mention or cover before we dive into this module?
Learning is more fun with friends.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'm gonna do my screen. I'm gonna make sure I've got sound figured out here in my little tabby tab. I love how my different tab options are squirrel census data. Okay, here we go. Introduction to Power BI. There we go. So this will be what you're looking at. It's a little small here, so I'll zoom
Yeah,
in.
make it a little bigger. There we go.
But this is a 46-minute module. I think we'll get through it pretty quickly, actually, because your girl already went through it, so I will help us as we go through. But let's start, shall we? I've already done this, so it's showing it as completed, but we'll start with this introduction. And again, y'all, this is a little bit of a wordy one, but there's some really great examples at the end, so we'll probably zoom through this first part. So really what this is this is a little I guess I'll read the introduction. The introduction is important.
Wait, Chloe, can you zoom again?
Yes.
Thank you.
There we go. How's that? There. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So the business world is increasingly data-driven. Small and large businesses alike use data to make decisions about sales, hiring goals, and all areas for which they have data. While most businesses have access to data of one type or another, it can be intimidating to try and understand them without a background in data analytics or statistics. Tell me about it. Even if you do not understand the data, a challenge may arise in displaying the data in an easy-to-understand way and communicating it to other relevant people. Really what that just means is, look, you got all the squirrel data, you want to show it to Ornella, but how do you visualize it for her? Power BI takes the intimidation and hassle out of data analysis and visualization by connecting to one or more of the hundreds of existing data sources and using a secure, easy to use, to understand interface. You can quickly and simply interact with and understand your data to influence all business systems. And then it says, in this module, we'll be able to describe the business value and features of Power BI and see how Power BI works and looks from the user's perspective. Pretty simple, just kind of explain what Power BI is.
Okay, so this is very like business centric. Yeah. Why would I use Power BI in my normal non-business life? What's like a fun thing to do in Power BI?
So let's just say that you start your own little like e-commerce store during the pandemic, right? And you are selling t-shirt, you're selling merch. We love merch on the show.
Franklin merch.
We've got Franklin merch, we've got Franklin hats, we've got Franklin, maybe Franklin wrote a tell-all book. So what we could do is based on, let's say we have a bunch of customer data. So like we have a spreadsheet maybe that shows, hey, here's all the people that have purchased things from us. Here's like repeat customers. We could use all of that data that's like basically just in, it can be in an Excel spreadsheet, it can be in a bunch of different formats, and be able to use that and draw conclusions from that without any code at all. So like typically, you need a data scientist, you need someone who kind of understands the inner workings of data. But if you just have, and truly, I'll show this in a second here when I show my squirrel data. If you have a data set that has different columns, and it can be anything from like a true false column to like maybe it's a sum or a total of numbers, or let's say that like you want to put predictions of like what is the likelihood of someone buying a Franklin hat and the memoir, and like be able to like predict those out.
Mm-hmm.
You could totally do that with Power BI, which I think it'll make a lot of sense when we show, well, the squirrel data, of course, but also the some of the customer examples that they have. But
Mm-hmm.
like, for example, so like in here, they're saying whether your data is a simple Microsoft Excel workbook, a collection of cloud-based or on-premises hybrid data
URL
warehouses.
Zoom Zoom,
Oh,
please.
yes. So this example here, this visual is basically saying, let's say that you have SQL database, maybe you have MailChimp data. So how many people are opening a promo email that you send out? You're like, today only, salami, half off, Franklin salami. How many click-throughs from that caused a purchase? But really it serves to like clean, model your data, visualize it, make discoveries from your data. And again, y'all, like I completed this module this week and I am not a data scientist. I have only played with data on BeatBoop, which is a big part of this show is like we have started from scratch on AIML for a lot of these things. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I am working on a Mac, but there is a Power BI desktop. I've just been using the browser version.
Mhm.
There's mobile Power BI that makes the data available on phones and tablets. But it's pretty cool. Here's a little picture of desktop here. Here's Power BI service. So this is what I'm using today. This is just kind of in the browser. And then this beautiful mobile app. So if you need to on the go, you're like, oh my God, we're low on inventory of salami. We got to order more Franklin branded salami
On the go, on the go.
on the mobile browser. And yeah, so it makes it really, really easy. So let's say like who among us has not taken a call while they've been on a walk or something? You can easily look at the data there. But the major building blocks are data sets, reports, and dashboards. And again, I should mention I've never played with Power BI before. I've only consumed it. So we have some lovely PMs on our team here in Cloud Advocacy who have made some beautiful data visualizations of different blog posts and things that we've done. And I can tell you as someone who does not consider themselves a data scientist, it was very easy. I know I'm paid to say this, but it was very easy to get up and running. But you organize them into workspaces and they're created on capacities, which we'll break that down a second here. So capacities are a core Power BI concept representing a set of resources used to host and deliver your Power BI content. They're either shared or dedicated. So a shared capacity is shared with other Microsoft customers, while a dedicated capacity is fully committed to a single customer. Dedicated capacities require a subscription, and workspaces are created on a shared capacity.
So that's just like
So
where the data is like being stored, like whether it's your own little storage cloud or a shared one.
yes, which is super important because when you think about data, especially customer data, you want to make sure things are very secure, right? Like sometimes we're dealing with addresses, how much was spent. Like this is private data. Like sometimes
Credit
people
card numbers, yeah.
emails, exactly. So and I can probably show an example of this if we have time for me to create a new visualization. But when actually, I might be able, okay, hold on, no spoilers. No. Okay. Yeah, when I make a new one, I can kind of show. So there was this when I uploaded the data that I wanted to use, it was like, okay, like what is the privacy and security, setting on this data? Is this like for public consumption? So in my case, it was very public squirrel data. So I didn't need to, worry too much about that data being released into the wild. But you do definitely want to make sure, especially, and I would say like, 99.9% of the time, well, maybe not, maybe 90% of the time we're using customer data in Power BI. You really want to make sure that you are being good about security.
Uh-huh.
Data security is important. Okay, workspaces. These are containers for dashboards. So there's two types of workspaces. There's my workspace, and then there's workspaces. So my workspace is like a personal workspace for any Power BI customer that only you have access to, and your my workspace. And you can share those. So I could share this squirrel dashboard that I made with you, Ornella. That's very easy to do. And then workspaces, plural, are used to collaborate and share with your colleagues. So this would be like, let's say you want to share with the marketing team, you know, the whole marketing team for Frank the Dog merch incorporated, like, hey, we need more sales, we need you to like go sell more of these bones. We can, I gotta think of better Frank merch. But basically workspaces are where you're going to create, publish, manage your apps. They're like a staging area. But also workspaces can be, you know, things that you end up eventually sharing externally. So maybe you want to report to your Franklin's investors, which I assume are the big wigs of meat and bone, to say like, hey, you know, if you
Smart.
collab with us, look at the outcome. But the
Guys,
consumers
tell us
cannot
if we
edit
take
them.
this example too far. Like, really,
Yeah.
let us know if you're tired of hearing about Frank Salami. We can pivot, I promise.
Yeah. Or give us an example of your own data that you're looking to visualize, so we could use
Yeah.
that. Because otherwise, I'm just going to keep riffing off of things that dogs like. But yeah, so an app is like a collection of dashboards. You can share these, but they can't be edited by people outside of your organization. So, you know, I always think of like Power BI almost as when I see a presentation that's like, we need to sell more, like, you know, the pie charts, the graphs, all of that stuff. Very Power BI.
Yeah.
Data sets, pretty self-explanatory, but this is data that you import or connect to. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where I was like importing my data and it was like, is this public? Is this private? Can this be shared? And they are associated with workspaces. And you can have multiple data sets in different workspaces. You can have different, you know, associated links between different workspaces if you want. And there's a bunch of them supported. For mine, I just literally selected all, copied and pasted into it, but you also can, you know, host them within Power BI if you would like to. Let's see, shared data sets. So again, pretty self-explanatory. One source of truth situation here. When you want to, let's see, your organization can have consistent data for making decisions and a healthy data culture. So getting everybody on the same page.
That's a new phrase for me personally.
Which one?
A healthy data culture.
Ooh, a healthy data culture. Well, I feel like when I think of healthy data culture, we have these lovely standards of business conduct videos that we consume here internally at Microsoft, where we talk all about the importance of data privacy, the importance of, you know, we see all these things in the news where people were like, oh my goodness, this ride sharing app was trying to track where Beyonce was. Bad, bad, bad. We don't want that. We want our data to be kept private, internal, no nonsense, a
No
good
nonsense.
healthy data culture, like a healthy relationship, you know. Let's see, reports. So it's one or more pages of visualization, such as line charts, maps, tree maps. Y'all,
The
get
pretty
ready.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
made the most visual squirrel data I could for y'all, because your girl loves a pie chart, your girl loves a donut chart, and
Oh yeah.
I put my blood, sweat, and rabies, get it because it's squirrels, into making this report.
Chloe.
I guess it would be rabies, sweat, and tears. And yeah, you can have edit permissions. I'll show you. I'm going to walk you through all of that in a second here. You can control who can edit it, who can't. When you open a workspace, the associated reports are listed under the reports tab. And when you open an app, you're presented with a dashboard. So pretty simple. You know, click create over here to make one over here. This will make a lot more sense in a second here. So by default, the report opens into reading view, and then you can select edit report to open it in editing view. So for mine, I started with like a straight up blank slate because I was like, you know what? No one's going to tell me how I want this squirrel stuff visualized.
Is it like a drag and drop situation?
Oh yes, it's beautiful.
Oh, we like to hear that.
Dashboards. Okay, a dashboard is something you create in the Power BI service or something a colleague creates in the Power BI service and shares with you. So this is just literally like single canvas, bunch of tiles and widgets. I love this. Like kind of reminds me of like the Azure dashboard where you can just pin and like drag and drop whatever you want on it. Again, I will show you all the deets of this in a second. Why do people create dashboards? Here are some reasons. To see in one glance all the info needed to make decisions. Boom. To monitor the most important information about your business. So this is almost like, you know, you can't track everything, right? Like I used to work in data reporting, or sorry, error reporting and analytics. And how do you know what to track unless you've already tracked it, right? So we don't want a data visualization of like every single thing that we're importing from this data set. We probably want what's most important to us. For example, squirrel fur color, most important for me out of this data set. You can do it to ensure all colleagues are on the same page. So like this could be sales, perhaps, monitor the health of a business or product or business unit or marketing campaign. So like we showed before, like maybe you have a MailChimp set of data that shows how many people clicked through that to buy a squeaky dog toy that's shaped like a bone. We need data used intentionally, not accidentally. Yes, healthy data culture.
Some healthy data culture right there.
Yes. Franklin behind the wagging. I love this Mike. Mike is the new PR person for Franklin. Okay, this is just more about dashboards, template apps. Okay, so this is cool, and I actually played with template apps a little bit. There's a bunch of template apps that you can just use right out of the box. This kind of reminds me a little bit of like with Logic apps and stuff. You can just like log into your Twitter account and have that like instantly, you know, you don't have to work with any authorization stuff. So the example that they use in this demo, we have these lovely visuals here, is you can go to apps within Power BI, click on get apps, and they got all these template ones here. So there's already some built-in ones. There's a bunch of COVID tracking ones. There's a GitHub repository one, which is the one that I played with a little bit, which literally just imports a bunch of just like relevant, useful, pre-populated GitHub repository data. So let's say that you and I make a repo for Franklin's Meats, and we want to see how many people start it, how many people are, you know, forking it, all that different data. And it was really easy. All I did was click get it now. It created this lovely little example of data in there. And it was very, very easy. And I installed it. It took like 2 seconds. And yeah, but I was like, you know what, this is cool, but I don't have, you know, a Franklin GitHub repo yet. So it didn't end up going with this template one, but these template things do exist if you want to go and do that. And I can probably show how to do that.
That is very cool.
Yeah. And there were some actually, let's see, I'll make sure that we do that one afterwards because I'm sharing my sound on this one. Okay. Data modeling visualizations. Okay. This is the exciting part. So this says Power BI Desktop. I did mine in the browser, and you're going to be able to see the same things. But you can create a lovely report like this. This is just kind of breaking down these different pieces. So this is the ribbon up on the top here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So this top part is the ribbon. It kind of looks like Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
Or Excel.
Easy.
It has this little Excel option right here, where you can grab all your data, make different visuals, a new measurement, all of that. Number 2 here is the report view or canvas. So this is where we're going to drag and drop everything. So all these cute little visualizations here, we can drag those over, make our little things. The model view allows you to visually set the relationship between tables or elements. So that's also part of the report here. Pages tab, that's the bottom of the page. Again, very simple, like an Excel spreadsheet kind of. We've got these little pages. You can have different pages. Visualization pane is number 4. This is my favorite part. I can't wait to show you how I decided squirrel data.
Man, I can't wait.
Look at this little globe. Do you think I showed a visualization of where they were spotted? You betcha. And the fields pane. So that is going to be where query elements and filters can be dragged onto. So that's number 5. And this will make a lot more sense when we're working with squirrel data. When I first did this, I did it with Pokemon data, and it was so funny because all my fields were like water, fire, like like can they kick? I was like, ooh, a little violent Pokemon. And then these are the types of visualizations, which I'm actually glad we're reviewing because I might get some inspo for how I want to visualize some of our data. And if you have a data set that you're obsessed with and you want us to maybe play with, if we have some time at the end, drop us a link to it. Any kind of data that you're interested in. Okay, so here's all the different ways we can do things. So there's the basic, layered and stacked. So this one here, they've got, looks like they're doing counts of visits by building. So here's all the different buildings that they're visualizing and how many visits there were. We've got bar and column charts. Love a good bar chart. So this is, I think this is visualizing the exact same stuff in all of these. So here's these, here's the counts of the different visits, counts by building. So here's what would this be? Horizontal, diagonal, multi-row. So you can do cards that show what the average price is. You can do a single number. So Ornella, you and I work with a dashboard here on our team where we show like, you know, how many views something got. That could be like an overall view number. Donut chart, delicious. Same
You
data.
love a good donut chart.
Honestly, like I was like, I cannot do this demo without a squirrel donut chart. I have to get it done.
It's all right.
And we got gauge charts that display the current status in the context of a goal. So let's say that Franklin wants to send 2,000 salamis out before the holiday season. We could keep track of our goal here.
Oh my God.
KPIs. So this is progress towards a measurable goal. So here they have this year in total units, last year by month, line charts. This always makes me think of that emoji that I think I tweeted along with this one. Basic maps. So you can do both categorical and quantitative information with spatial locations. And I believe when I was putting my map data together, because I had longitude and latitude for my squirrels, because of course I did, there's a couple different map options that I'll show you when we go in there. I ended up doing a little data visualization with that. The Matrix coming soon to theaters. Just kidding. We are not sponsored by The Matrix, although it was filmed in the Bay Area. Very excited for that. Yeah, Keanu Reeves was here and we didn't even know. Like we missed.
Oh wait, actually, I feel like I did hear about that.
I'm really excited to see it. This supports 2 dimensions, but a matrix makes it easier to display meaningful data across multiple dimensions. So that includes things like pie charts. Yeah, so we've got this matrix, we've got pie charts, we've got Q&A visual. I didn't play with this one, but this one I did try adding, and you can ask it questions using natural language. So you can be like, how many squirrels were youths? Or like, how many salamis were sold in 2018 or whatever
that is very cool.
Yeah, we can maybe play with that. We can add this to my squirrel one and see how that one works out. Tables, of course. Tree maps, which I've never used a tree map, but it's charts of colored rectangles with size representing values. So this could be interesting, and maybe we could try doing this with my existing one. So I have some data from my squirrels of like this, like running, foraging, like crying. Like,
I need to see this data.
We will dive deeply into the data.
Oh my God.
This one, it looks like they're doing, these are categories. So this is like men's versus home goods versus kids versus hosiery, shoes, juniors, all of that. Waterfall charts, running total as values are added or subtracted. I can't think of a good example for this one, but maybe someone in the chat would know. I guess this would be like how many, maybe this is like our inventory and how much we've made versus sold. We could maybe use that. And then, of course, custom visuals. So a bunch of Power BI visuals that you can create for yourself. I love
that you can, I love that you can contribute.
It's very cool. And there's a bunch of different, like, so there's like certified Power BI visuals. There's App Source, which has all these like add-ins and extensions. So like people make their own little apps, kind of similar to what were we talking about recently, or what are our MSAs competing in? They're making custom connectors for low code, no code month. So very similar to
Yeah.
that. And then you can filter your data with Power BI. So as you explore the results, each visual draws its underlying data from sources that often contain far more data than you need.
Mm.
So this allows you to filter and highlight reports. Pretty cool, because let's say you just it's kind of like when we were doing our Space Jam data, right? Where we like cleaned our data and we filtered it down and we wanted more specifics. Totally do that with Power BI. Ooh, note, when you filter a visual like a bar chart, you're just changing the view of the data in the visual. You are not modifying the source data. Good to know.
Makes sense.
Slicers.
Slicers.
Slicing and dicing our data. I need to read better into this because I was trying to figure this out when I was playing with it. A simple type of filtering that you can use directly on the report page is called a slicer. Slicers provide cues to ways you can filter the results in the visuals on a report page. There are several different types of slicers: numeric, categorical, and date. Okay, cool. So it basically allows you to like filter in real time. Very cool. Okay. Explore the filters pane. Another way to filter data is by opening and modifying filters in the filters pane. So this I will show you. There's 4 types of filters: report, page, visual, and drill through. So really the differences here are, all the pages in the report versus the current page versus if you have a selected visual on the canvas that you want to apply it to. This will make a lot more sense when I walk you through my example. And then the buttons. So this is pretty cool. You can make it interactive and make it behave like an app. So as I mentioned, we've got the mobile app. So like, let's say you're sharing this to an external vendor and you want to be like, hey, so we've shipped 25,000 Beep Boop Franklin edition shirts. You can dive deeper into the data here. Pretty cool stuff. So you can make your data interactive, almost like you can make like a PowerPoint presentation interactive and kind of like click through it. You can make buttons and do that. Then you can transform your data, which basically means, you might have it in the wrong format.
Oh, so
And
you can do the cleaning and processing and stuff right in Power BI. That's so cool.
Ornella, it was so easy. Like, I know
So
we're paid to
cool.
say it's easy, but like it cleans my data. It was like hiring like a cleaning service for my data. It was perfect.
Love.
Yeah, and then they also have, let's see, we've got this transform data here that will transform your data into transformer. No. You'll see the following screen, and then you can like change the different types in here. You can clean the data within it. So it's pretty interactive. And I would say if you are a person who is not a data scientist, maybe you're a marketing professional, maybe you work in sales, I don't know, something that doesn't give you a lot of time to go to school to get a 4-year data science degree or even a boot camp or something like that. Truly, I got up and running on this in less than 15 minutes. It was very, very easy. So if you're watching this for low code, no code solutions, could not recommend this more. How to transform your data. So basically you can go over here. You can change the types in here. So if you've never played with data before, oftentimes you'll need it in a certain format. Maybe it's time, maybe it's true, false, maybe it's a percentage. So you can literally do that within Power BI, which is really cool because then you don't have to remember in our early modules with Space Jam, we kind of had to clean our data. Well, we did it inside our, within
In the
VS
Google
Code.
Network, yeah.
But we can just do that all in the same interface. We don't have to re-upload it. It's just all
That
in
is
there.
amazing.
It's very cool. I'm a big fan. This is just going more into Power Query Editor, cleaning our data. We love triple washed, clean data, as we've mentioned on previous episodes. Organic, USDA. And here is so it says a table layout that looks good to the human eye might not be optimal for automated queries. For example, the following spreadsheet has headers that span multiple columns. So it's really good at being able to clean up this. Again, for mine, I just copied and pasted it in. But it's very, very easy to change that. You can transpose the data. You can swap rows into columns. You can format it.
We literally did that in our data science one. Wow,
literally, if anybody wants to replicate the Space Jam data with this, I think you'd be up and running very easily with that data. And yeah, let's see. What is an aggregate? Sometimes you want to mathematically combine values in your data. The mathematical operation could be a sum, an average, maximum, count, and so on. So I could do a sum of all. What is the sum of adult squirrels? And yes, there is a youth versus adult column in my data
Stop.
set. Types of data, so truly all the types, any type you can think of is going to be supported here. So this example here, they've got segment, country, product, unit sold. Let's see. This is just telling us units sold by product, units sold by month. You can really like refine all of this down within the report editor. And I'm just zooming through this because I want to show my example. Why don't aggregates work the way I want them to? Well, you need to be nice to the aggregate. No. Typically, it is underlying issues, the field definition, the data set. So this is really just talking about cleaning our data here. Or
I feel like aggregates are like, in Excel when you can use the formulas like sum, max, whatever. I feel like it's all those.
Yes. How to change a numeric field. It's aggregated. So you say you have a chart that sums the units sold for different products, but you'd rather have the average. So I did this with mine. I had like a true false thing, and I wanted to change it between like a yes or a no here. You can rename them. Just going into all the great deets, the finite detail you can do to visualize exactly what you want. Here's different ways you can aggregate your data. Sum, average, minimum, maximum, count, not blanks, count distinct, standard deviation, variance, and median. And we covered a lot of these in our Space Jam module that we did. Okay, so this is important, security and administration. We talked about this a little bit at the beginning, so I won't go too far into it, but this is really important. You want to think of like governance policies. Maybe you have HIPAA compliant things that you need to do with healthcare data. This is just really going into the importance of that and how you can get really specific with as a Power BI admin to make sure only the people who need to be shared on it are shared on it. Okay, now we're gonna play a video. So this is a case study with the Miami Heat. And Ornella, we've brought it full circle to b-ball.
It's actually wild because we didn't plan this.
We didn't plan this at all. Let me know if you can hear this.
Basketball follows us. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna play this video real quick. It's only like 2 minutes long, but I think this is a really good example of like the how and the why. Like this really clicked for me. A use case.
We make people happy, whether it's a little kid coming to their first game or seasoned folks that have been coming for years. The smiles on their faces when big plays happen, when the act first gets on stage for concerts, that moment is what we live for. And that experience is powered by Adobe and Microsoft. We selected Microsoft because there's no other place where we can go find an enterprise capable platform to do so many different things. They provide the data warehouse, the Azure cloud, and the Power BI platform that visualizes all of this data that's really mission critical for us. Microsoft and Adobe are the backbone to our customer journey.
It was a no-brainer. The fact that they already had readily available integrations with our existing Microsoft technologies, it was a cinch to really bring it in and be able to move the data from both platforms.
We've got a lot of digital properties. We have heat.com, aaarena.com, miamiheatstore.com, the award-winning Miami Heat mobile app, and we want to know what our users are doing across all these different digital properties.
We use the Microsoft Azure cloud to collect and enrich our data so that we can provide it to the rest of the business in a seamless and an automated way.
First, we are scoring every lead that comes into this building, whether it's from mobile ticketing data that we capture, Wi-Fi data that we capture from Adobe Analytics or Campaign, and say, hey, this person would have a high propensity to buy a season ticket, or this person will be a great fit for a retail store buyer.
This data is moved into Microsoft Dynamics so that our reps can ensure that we are on track to drive those leads through the funnels to where we convert them into new customers.
And that's why we selected Dynamics 365 to enable our salespeople to better sell. After we implemented the data warehouse and Dynamics 365, we had a 30% year-over-year increase in our season ticket sales, with essentially the same team on the floor.
All of this information is made available through Power BI so that we can measure our performance, and it's accessible by our ownership, our executive leadership, right down to the guest services rep who's working the arena events.
Our vision here is we just want to understand our fan. Understanding the fan provides for a great customer experience, but it's also great for our business as well. We now make data-driven decisions rather than focusing on assumptions or the way things used to be done. This has transformed the way we do business.
Good song.
It's a great song.
We also want to understand our fans.
Yeah, we can. Well, I was thinking of an example of this to share, and I guess I just had sports on the brain because I was thinking to when I used to go to Giants games, SF Giants. I one time bought tickets to Jewish Heritage Night, and then because they gave us a free Rally Rabbi bobblehead, and
that's good stuff.
Obviously had to go, and I can only assume that I must have been, added to some sort of like customer list to maybe predict, like they had my birthday, so I got a little birthday email. So it's like those kind of things, right? Like triggering those different campaigns. But then, I got this email that was like, hey, it's Hello Kitty night, gotta go. So it's like a really,
How
it's
did
like
they know that? That's so cool.
I mean, probably they just took one look at me. No. But it's things like that, right? Where they can be like, oh, interesting. This person attended one of our, Heritage Night things. Like, they're in our system this way. Maybe there's a campaign to do this thing. So I think that's like a really great example of, and they said 30% increase. That's crazy. Wow. I will let people watch this on their own because I'm going to be walking through a lot of this, but really what this is just a walkthrough of the desktop interface and a lovely little knowledge check that, you know what, I'll let y'all complete the knowledge check on your own. It's pretty easy though. No cheating, no spoilers, but I'm going to share, it's the moment we all been waiting for.
Please.
Squirrel data. Okay. Let me get my full screen shared here. I'm going to minimize this bad boy. Okay. So here's the data that I just like literally binged funny, data sets. And I came across
Who's excited about this data?
So this is fascinating. I highly recommend that you do your own deep dive into this because I too had many questions, as did Dion before this live stream of like, how do they count the squirrels? Who's doing this? I clicked on this link here for Squirrel Census, the squirrelcensus.com, real website, which brings you to this very small font. But let me just cover some highlights in this.
Oh my God.
Once upon a time, there existed an organization called the Squirrel Census. It was founded in Atlanta, Georgia, USA by a lab Aussie canine named Sophie, a freelance chaser. Okay, so goes into all of this stuff. Some takeaways. Squirrels take chances. They squeak. They wrestle. They tease. They love. They laugh in private. They understand that life is fleeting. Live now is the unofficial squirrel motto. They are not afraid to cry. I learned a lot.
We have another official squirrel chaser right here.
Yes, Franklin the squirrel chaser. It says
loves a good squirrel.
They broke up like some people too. They're like Fleetwood Mac actually having, there's all these different details about squirrels.
Oh my God, who wrote this? This is amazing.
I have so many questions. Oh, there's a shop? Hold on.
Merch?
Oh, no, there's merch. Wow. Oh, look, this has I already know this number. 2,373 is how many squirrels are in Central Park. This is hilarious. So go support the squirrel data. Oh my God, look at this squirrel. How can we help you? You'll like it. Official squirrel sighting gear. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Enough about I should also mention, if people want to know who was collecting this data, I found this earlier when I was showing Dion. It said everyone from, oh my gosh, where is this part? People from all walks of life. Oh, here we go. Team members of the Squirrel Census included a writer, an artist, a wildland firefighter, a logistics chief, a squirrel scientist, and a cartographer. They also worked with designers, vets, park people, generous sponsors, schools, and other organizations. But most importantly, I got to show you what this data looks like. So first, here's the Pokemon data that I was going to use. But I wanted something that had more than just numbers and fighting and ice and electric. So here's what the squirrel data set looks like. It looks a little something like this.
Can you get a little bigger?
Yes, and just so people know, I literally just searched this and I downloaded it from NYC Open Data. And let's dive into these different columns here. So we've got the X and the Y axis, the longitude and the latitude of where the squirrel was spotted, a unique squirrel ID, which again, still unclear how they were not sure they weren't counting the same squirrel twice. Not sure, not my problem. The hectare, the shift, so if it was spotted in the AM or the PM, the date, the age, so like juvenile versus adult. We've got the primary fur color, the highlight fur color, the combination. I'm in the primary fur color. I'm in the highlight fur color. I'm in the combination of primary and highlight color. Color notes. The notes are hilarious, and I highly recommend diving into them. We've got location.
I'm sorry about Franklin's episode.
Above ground, ground plane, specific location, some funny stuff.
On tree stump. Under a tree.
So much better, Ornella. You don't
Moving
even know.
slowly.
Rummaging or running, choosing, climbing, eating, foraging. This is my fave. Other activities: eating, ate upside down on a tree. # jealous.
Wrestling with mother.
How did they know it was the mother? Running with nut. Hiding nut. Drank from pond of rainwater. Eating a mushroom. Circles around us really fast. So took nut to bury it. Lots of nuts in here. Begging. Quietly nest building. So all sorts of stuff in here.
Oh my god.
We've also got moans, tail flags, tail twitches, approaches, and all this different stuff. And then the latitude and longitude together in one format. So literally all I did, y'all. It was pretty cool. Okay, so first of all, this is my dashboard that I made.
Oh my god.
A little work in progress. I've got my Comic Sans here that says, "Hey, squirrel friend." But let me give you a little walkthrough of this. Franklin, thoughts?
Franklin's looking.
Franklin's going to use this data to go hunting, I'm concerned. So when I made this, actually, I'll show you how I made it in a second, but first I want to do a little walkthrough of how I did this. So this is this little map here. I literally clicked on this map here in the top right corner, dragged it over here, put in the fields.
That's amazing.
My fields are...
Did you do lat long?
I did lat long, which is my X and my Y here, which are just two numbers that I have. And I dragged this here and that here. And created this visualization. And since they're all reported from Central Park, all the 3,000, however many squirrels visualized on the data map here. Franklin, take notes, please.
Franklin is looking.
Here is, so this is just, I literally dragged and dropped this pie chart over. And I did, what fur color was most popular. Looks like gray is most popular.
Primary or highlight?
Primary. The AM versus PM shift looks like most people are squirrel census dataing at night. This is a count of the fur color by highlight in a donut chart. And again, how I did this, y'all, is like literally, and I can make one here in a second if we want. I just dragged like this little donut guy here and just like made, and then dropped in the data that I wanted, and I put the fur highlight. I've also got, let's see, what else do I have? Count of eating by age. So if they're an adult or a juvenile, and if they were eating, true or false. I've got a count of age by age. So like, question mark versus juvenile versus adult in here. All kinds of fun stuff. But it's pretty freaking easy, y'all. Like, here, maybe we can make a different one. Actually, I want to show you how I just do it from scratch. So if you want to go here, let's see, I'm going to save my data, obviously. So this is where I started from. Again, I have my squirrel data just like this. I could have uploaded it, but I just did like a select all situation here. So I just did like up here, select all. I copied it And then you can pick a published data set. So that can be something you already have published in your account, or you can just like manually enter it in here. And literally what I did, fam, is I just pasted it. Oops, I need to use the correct thing here. Copy and paste. Ta-da. Oops, no, I just did one cell. Oops. Anyway, I copied and pasted it. I think I did use headers as first row. There we go. Copy. Oops, delete. Delete here. Let me do a different one here. But super, super simple. Paste my data. Boom.
Oh,
You can name it. So it'll be like
squirrels.
squirrels rule. You can click auto create report if you want it to do. I just did a blank report when I did mine, but
Wait, what does the auto one do? Can we see it?
yeah. So because ours is a lot of like true and false data, so this is our sensitivity label. This is public squirrel data, of course. But right out of the box, it'll just map out some data for you. Give it a sec.
What do you think of all this?
Franklin, your
What do you
thoughts?
think? What do you think?
Concerns? Ornella's dog is getting excited from all the talk of squirrels. I agree. A squirrel scientist. Ooh, look at this. Okay, so it did. Interesting. Look at this. We didn't even do anything. All we did is copy and paste in here, and it's like at 10, this is doing a lot of sums, which is why I think I went with a blank one, because it was like putting the sum of a lot of stuff in here. But sum of date by age, like it just kind of like picked. We don't really need sums of things in here because we already know the sum of how many squirrels there are. But you can go in here. Oops. You can kind of do all this age stuff, but you can go to these filters. I like doing the blank data one because I can kind of like make my own views of like, what do I want to show? What do I want to filter in here? I want to do I want to visualize like how many squirrels were running versus climbing versus, and you can decide like what kind of visualization you want to do for that.
Wow. This is amazing.
It's very cool. It's a lot of just like a lot of the heavy lifting that we did on some of our earlier modules, but just like done. And let's see, did I save my GitHub one? Maybe I can show you real quick what the GitHub one. Yeah. So this one just out of the box, this was like the thing that I downloaded and created a little GitHub visualization.
Ooh.
So this is sample data, but this is what you can do with something like the GitHub app, where like you can put how many pull requests, how many are open, how many open issues you have versus closed issues. You can create these cute little tiles. Here's this in action.
Open source project. That would be really cool to track and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even thinking about our Imagine Cup training content. We could put it in here, put which contributors, are contributing the most, a bunch of stuff in here. So super cool stuff. You can even look at this report here. So here's an example of reports. You can look at the top 100 contributors to like really like refine it down. And that's what we're talking about with these like different reports and different pages that you want to have here. So it looks like, something happened in November 2017. Or let's say that you want to do some sort of like marketing campaign with, contributors to your open source project. And you're like, I want to send swag to like the person who's committed the most. You can like go in here. But very, very cool stuff. Very, very exciting stuff. And again, y'all, if you want to go through, play with this yourself. The module is really great and super easy and literally got me to a point where I could like build that squirrel data visualization. So I will drop the link again. Very easy, just aka.ms/beebooplinks8. But oh my goodness, Ornella, we're in the final minutes of Beeboop.
For those of us who are joining us, okay, well, I'm sorry if Frank was distracting. I just wanted to give the people, a little bit more FaceTime with him today.
Yes, of course. Gotta make him the big boy.
If you're joining us, can you tell us what your favorite moment has been of Beep Boop and what you learned, or what was your favorite part besides Frank, obviously, because he's the best?
I should have queued up like we did on our finale for season 1, Vitamin C's graduation.
Yeah, the
Still
best
can.
one.
I don't know what I think actually I think I do know. Do you know what yours is? Your fave moment?
You know what was so satisfying to me personally was when we finished cleaning the data set, the Space Jam data set, and then we printed it out, and every row and column was just full of beautiful data. That was amazing.
A beautiful moment in data history.
I think the day that we were making the AI translator app and Seth swooped in and helped us live debug our code and we all got it to work. It was just so amazing.
I was gonna say the Seth one because Seth saved the day that one time. And we were so excited to get it working. But I also think I really loved Smarter Teen, which I guess was last episode, just because I don't know, it was just like really fun to build a chatbot right out of the box.
Yeah.
What else? I'm like trying to think. 8 of them, 8 whole episodes. What else? Some highlights. I wish we had like a in memoriam reel right now we could play of like all our previous moments.
Maybe we should make one for Twitter.
We should. Oh my gosh, we totally should. I know I said this last time when we were recapping what our favorite moments were, but you know, Ornella and I could just like record videos and publish them out and just like never think about them again. But I think what the true joy of doing this reactor stream has been is y'all in the chat, like interacting with us, and we've built ourselves a little beep boop community, probably mostly for Franklin, but we're just so happy and excited that you've all joined us on this beep boop journey. And I feel like I've learned a lot about, I don't know, just like AI, ML, data. Like I can officially call myself a data bae. I've like cleaned some data.
Database unite.
Any other parting thoughts before we end the stream? I'm just like Beep Boop will be returning in some forms in the future. So like,
Frank,
don't
you have some
out.
parting thoughts you would like to share?
Yeah. Franklin.
What was that? What was that?
Your favorite moment was the whole thing? Yes. Yes. I'll take that as a yes. Let's see.
Mark said, since you start at midnight here, I've just really enjoyed this being part of my weekly bedtime routine. That's so sweet. I can't believe you watch us at midnight. That is true dedication.
Mike, you're the true MVP in this chat. We love to see you in the chat. I'm very excited that Beep Boop isn't going anywhere. First of all, we will have all of the YouTube videos available at aka.ms/beepbooptube. You can also check out all of the fabulous summary replays that we do at aka.ms/beepboopreplay. Ornella does some awesome write-ups of that. And I think we've got some more beefs and boops in our future in different forms.
I think so.
But Mike, that's so lovely. We're so glad that you've joined us on this BB journey. One of the original BBs. You were there. We named our fans the BBs. But yeah, y'all, I'm so excited. And again, if you end up playing with this stuff and building your own visualizations and playing with Power BI, or even just making like a really silly chatbot, tag us in it, share some screenshots with us. We would love to see it. I want to see I don't know, weird visualizations of like other animals. Like what else is happening out there? We need the info.
In the animal kingdom.
In the animal kingdom, we need to know. Well, I don't know. Oh, Sarah's a BB for life. A BB for life. It has been such a joy, y'all. It's funny, exciting design. Thanks for sharing this squirrel demo. Yeah, oh my goodness, of course.
Squirrels for the win.
I encourage you, literally, I just copied and pasted in there. I played with some Pokemon data earlier today. I was considering some UFO data as well, but you can go in, do whatever kind of data you want to use. Made in Power BI. Ding. I think
one last song.
One last song, and again, Ornella and myself are on Twitter. Come and say hi on Twitter. We're not going anywhere. We're just taking a little BB hiatus while we create some more awesome AI/ML and low code, no code projects for you. Thank you for joining us, Sarah. And thank you to Sarah. Shout out to Sarah for building the amazing module that we used for season one. Definitely stay tuned. Next month and the month after, myself and Gwen will be doing some job search and resume help stuff next month. So keep an eye out for announcements on that. But I think, what better way to end than with our
saxophone.
our slapping song at the end here. Any final thoughts, Ornella, before we play our outro?
Bye, BBs.
Bye, BBs. We love you. We appreciate
See you
you.
next
We cannot
time.
wait to see what you build. And let's listen to that saxophone solo one last time, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
And scene.